I've just been told about the rocket strike at Vinnytsia. 8 rockets against our town, against our peaceful, good Vinnytsia that never threatened Russia by any way. A rocket strike, tough, cynical, completely flattened the airport. They carry on destroying our infrastructure, our lives, built by us, by our fathers, by our grandfathers and grandmothers, by generations of Ukrainians. Every day we keep saying, close the sky over Ukraine to all Russian rockets, to Russian military aviation, to all those terrorists, and made a humanitarian air zone without rockets, without planes. We are people. Your humanitarian responsibility is to protect us, to protect people. You can do that. If you don't do that, if you won't at least give us planes for us to be able to protect ourselves, that only one conclusion could be drawn. You also want us to be very slowly killed. And that is the responsibility of global politicians and Western leaders from today and forever.
Well, the American Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has said the United States is considering a deal which would involve Poland supplying Ukraine with fighter jets. Yesterday, President Zelensky appealed to the U.S. Senate for Russian-made planes, and that's because his military knows how to fly them. Our diplomatic correspondent, James Landell, tells us more.
What Ukraine wants is more air cover, more planes like these keeping the skies free from Russian attacks. And so now there's a plan for the West to give more jets to Ukraine for its own pilots to fly. America's top diplomat was visiting Moldova today, where he confirmed Poland might give some of its warplanes to Ukraine and get some American fighter jets in return.
We're looking actively now at the question of airplanes that Poland may provide to Ukraine, and looking at how we might be able to backfill should Poland decide to produce those, supply those planes.
What Ukraine says it really wants is a no-fly zone enforced by NATO in an attempt to slow the Russian onslaught on its cities. But NATO said no, fearing it would trigger a wider European war.
Most of the destruction is coming from artillery. It's not coming from Russian aircraft. And then if we were to police a no-fly zone, it means that we'd probably have to take out Russian defence systems, and we would have NATO aircraft in the air alongside Russian aircraft, and then the potential of shooting them down, and then that leads to an escalation.
And amid the fighting, the diplomacy continues. This morning, Israel's Prime Minister briefed his cabinet on his talks yesterday with Vladimir Putin.
Even if the chance is not great, and as soon as there's even a small opening, I see this as our moral obligation to make every effort.
And all the while, the flow of refugees out of Ukraine continues to grow. Today, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, said they number more than 1.5 million people, what he described as the fastest growing refugee crisis in Europe since World War II.